So when I was younger, I could never really understand why people came up with like thematic slogans for the new year. You know, like we're going for more in 2004 or dare to dream in 2016. You know, it just felt disingenuous, and I always felt this strong disconnect with the whole idea. But sometime late last year or very early this year, I can't remember, I was doing some Bible study, talking to God, and God began to show me some things, in his word about building a legacy, building a brand, building a name, building a legend that will live on and affect many people long after I'm gone. For about a week straight, there was just this, recurring theme in all of my Bible study and everything that I was doing. Really, there was just this recurring theme of legacy. And then it hit me. It's like, probably this is what happened when those people came up with those thematic slogans, right? No, I didn't come up with a slogan because I still find it extremely corny. But this year, my focus is on legacy. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the biblical model that I'm currently using for this year, right? So if you're interested in following along the journey, or if you want to come on the adventure with me, and experience it real time with me during the course of the year, then this video is for you, because I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. So stick around and let's connect. Roots World, Roots World, Roots World, Roots World, Roots World, Roots World. So during this week that I was haunted with this recurring theme of building legacy, I had a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of creed. Okay, no, that wasn't my dream. That was Martin Luther King, just in case you guys didn't know. Martin Luther King Jr., by the way. But anyhow, in my dream, there was this lady, from church, who had asked me to help her out by recording some vocals for her daughter. Her daughter sings, right? And I agreed. I told her, I said, I could do it, but it wouldn't be anytime soon because I'm extremely busy these days. I'll only be able to do it probably later on in the year, probably like around October-ish, November-ish, around there, where I think, I might have some free time that I can do it. You could tell me why. About 2 weeks later, in the dream, obviously, my uncle comes up to me laughing, right? And he asks, "But why you so boy?" So I'm hella confused, right? So I ask him to explain. So I was like, "Unc, can you explain to me what you mean by this?" So he basically tells me that the lady told him that I said I was going to come set up by her and do the recording by her about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I never showed up. And now her daughter is vexed and she doesn't want to come back to church because church people are hypocrites and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, bruh, where did that even come from? I'm not gonna lie. I did feel some type of way because it kind of felt like my uncle believed her, right? It kind of felt that way. But then I was like, oh, that making any sense? Why would I leave my home where I have all the equipment to go to someone else's home to set up all the equipment to record them? That's not making sense. That's not making no sense. And he agreed, but that taught me a very valuable lesson. And it's this: people will only fact check the story if it does not align with the name that they have associated with the story. Meaning, if I know you, someone tells me a story about you, the only way that I am fact checking what someone tells me is if the story that they tell me does not align with who I view you as. So this is why building a name or a reputation or legacy is of paramount importance. Proverbs 22:1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. All right, so let's jump into the first component of building a long-lasting legacy. The first component in building a successful legacy is the name. Fortunately or unfortunately for some, we had no real part in choosing our names, but we do have full control of shaping the characters that name represents, if that makes any sense. So this ties right into the first principle that I want to introduce, right? Which is taken from Genesis 1 and verse 27. And you guys would hear me talk about like the principles in Genesis, because there's just so much in those first 3 chapters of the Bible that, anyhow. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Okay, this shows us that we are born inherently valuable. And when we follow God's principles, we are able to shape our characters. So there's a level of congruence with our names and our true identities. Our true identities being God's image bearers. The second component for building a long-lasting legacy is the story. So whether we like it or not, our names are going to be associated with stories. So there will be positive stories, there will be negative stories. So what is your story going to be? And how do we genuinely and intentionally craft these positive stories with our lives? So the biblical principle that for this aspect or this component, which is the story, is found in Matthew 5:16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Now, this verse was Jesus speaking during the Sermon on the Mount. And it emphasizes the importance of living in such a way that our actions reflect the character and the glory of God. Here are my key takeaways from this text, right? Or from this principle. We need to be intentionally visible. So intentional visibility. Let our lights shine before others so that they can see our good works. Now, there's generally a fight, right? A tug of war, a battle between, especially with Christians, doing things genuinely or doing it just for show, right? But I believe this battle only exists because of our jaded perspective, of letting our light shine. Because many of us believe that this just refers to, doing kind acts or acts of kindness or compassion, right? But this is way more than that, right? This is actually living out the teachings of Jesus in every aspect of our lives, right? So once we're doing that, once we are actually following biblical principles, doing the random acts of kindness, or doing the act of compassion, or whatever we deem it to be, there wouldn't be a fight because we're actually following the teachings of Jesus, right? And we're becoming the people who do these random acts. Well, not random. Who do these acts of kindness and compassion. We become those people. So we need to be intentionally visible. Well, the second thing that comes out of this text for me is humility, right? While we permit others to see our good works, the end goal of them seeing our good works is not really to shine us up, right? It's really to glorify your Father which is in heaven, right? We should always maintain a sense of humility, a humble attitude, recognizing that any of our good works or any of our positive qualities are ultimately gifts from God. And once we come to this understanding, it becomes a lot easier to redirect the attention and redirect the praise and honor to the true source, right? The true source of all things good. And the last one that I saw coming out of this text is consistency. When we consistently live out our faith, we build trust and we build a reputation that reflect God's values. It's a life that is crafted, a lifestyle characterized by trusting and obedience to God. All right, so the last component to building a long-lasting legacy is the effect. This is the actual result of our action. This is the actual impact that we have on the lives of others. So just as James told us in James 2:26, faith without works is dead. Well, so is the name and the story without the actual fruit or the actual result to back it up. You see, the ultimate goal of building the story or building the name or building the brand or building the reputation is to accurately reflect the image of God. Now, when others see our good works and recognize the source of our actions, it will spark in them a desire to obtain what we have obtained. And in so doing, we will be building a legacy that will go on from generation to generation. So I truly hope that this was a blessing to you. And if you're following along and enjoying the season thus far, I encourage you to share with somebody you care about. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bells, and join me next week for a brand new episode of Connect 3. Catch you on the next one.